Hey scholars, I will be doing a read aloud. It's just going to be a read aloud of pages 88 through 92 to help you as you are reading to find the audience's reaction to Maeda and the audience's reaction to Rudy. So let's get started. On page 88 is where it starts. Maeda has just gone up to the podium, and you'll see there in the picture that she's up at the podium about to give her speech. There was a light applause as Maeda rose from her chair and approached the podium. She climbed onto a box that was set there for her. She adjusted the microphone. "Good morning," Maeda said. "It's almost afternoon," Carlos yelled. Maeda looked at the clock on the wall and then at Carlos. She decided to ignore him. She continued with a bright chime in her voice. "I'm seeking your votes next Tuesday. I want to be your president." "President of the United States?" Carlos yelled through the funnel of his hands. With that, Miss Castillo, now stern-faced, shook a finger at him. He returned to sitting as straight as an angel. Maeda breathed in as she gathered her strength. She inflated her lungs and boomed. "If elected, I plan to beautify the school grounds. I want to get rid of all that cholo graffiti and put some flowers in by our fifth grade rooms." Some of the students, mostly girls, applauded. I'm sure you're tired of a cochino-looking school," Maeda boomed even louder. There was more applause, but not enough to make Maeda feel confident. She eyed Anna in the audience. Anna hadn't clapped that hard. Maeda clicked her tongue and thought, "Come on, Anna, let's get with it." "Those are good ideas," Anna remarked, not too bravely. She looked around at the audience. No one was applauding. Maeda paused, somewhat shaken. She had practiced with Anna on the school grounds, but now behind the podium, the words didn't seem as powerful. "I plan to get parents involved," Maeda continued. "I want them to help with the cleanup." Only one student applauded. It was Carlos. He was applauding as hard as rain on a car roof. He wouldn't stop until Miss Castillo beckoned him with her finger, with a finger. He was being called out of the room. He rose to his feet and said, "I'll vote for you, Maeda. You're nicer." Then, looking at Rudy, Carlos stepped over his classmate sitting on the floor. "Nah, I better vote for Rudy. I owe him a quarter." He was prodded from the multipurpose room towards the principal's office. "Just think," Maeda said, her voice weak. She was losing her confidence. "We could put some really nice azaleas and pansies outside our windows. The walls will be all clean, not like they are now." She looked at her scribbled notes, then up toward the audience. "It'll be work, but we can do it." The audience scrunched up their faces. "And I have a plan for a school trip," Maeda countered quickly, sensing that she was losing her listeners. "And I found a fundraising idea for how we can get computers." The audience yawned. Two posters that said "Vote for Maeda and Anna" sank down. "I have a question," a boy said, his hand as tall as a spear. "Yes?" "Are we going to get paid to work?" His face was lit with a grin. He knew he was being silly. "No, we're not getting paid. It's for our school." The students muttered but applauded lightly. A few of the posters went up again in a rattle, but quickly sank down. "Please think of me when you vote on Tuesday," Maeda said. Her voice was now faint as a baby's bird's chirp. She sat down, exhausted. She wanted to shake her head in defeat, but knew that she had to sit up bravely. She waved at the audience, but only a few students waved back. Not one of them was a boy. Then Rudy stood up. He approached the podium and leaped up onto the box. "Hey, I like this," he laughed. As he held on to the podium, he wobbled the box and said, "It's like a skateboard." The audience laughed. From where she sat, Maeda could see that More than one boy was chewing bubble gum. Rudy then became serious. He looked at Maeda and said, "She's got some good ideas." Maeda, Maeda would make a good prez, but I think I would make a truly great one. The audience laughed. "And you know why?" Rudy asked. "Why?" some of the boys in the audience repeated. Rudy turned and cupped an ear to the audience. "I can't hear you." "Why?" yelled a mixed group of boys and girls. "Still can't hear you." Rudy smiled. "Why?" the entire audience yelled. Rudy nodded his head, smiling. He had their attention. "It's because I'm going to work on I'm going to work to get us more recess time." The audience applauded and chanted, "More recess, more recess, more recess." "Yeah, gente. Instead of just 15 minutes, I'm going to ask the principal for 20, at least. Maybe half an hour, homeboys." "Why not an hour?" someone yelled from the audience. "We can't push our luck, dude," Rudy responded. Maeda wanted to cover her face. It was obvious that the audience was siding with Rudy. Rudy raised his hands and asked for silence. "Plus," he continued as he slowly scanned the audience, "plus, I'm going to ask for ice cream day every day, not just on Fridays." The audience roared as Rudy wobbled the box and then jumped off. He returned to his seat, pushing a fresh piece of bubblegum into his mouth. All right, so I hope that you guys were listening carefully as I read that out loud, pausing to make sure that you were filling in your Venn diagram on how the audience was reacting. So you can always go back and listen to this video if you need to. Pause when you hear something about the audience reaction to fill in your Venn diagram. It's up there for you guys to use if you need it. Okay, thank you.